Today's episode is brought to you by Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the show, go to patreon.com/JoshuaVelas and become a $2 backer today and get early access to the new episodes. I'll be leaving a link in the description down below, but for now, on to today's episode. You're listening to the Augment Experience podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Joshua Velas. I'm a student, musician, and a gamer at heart. Join me as I sit down every week to talk about all the latest news in the technology, business, and video game world. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. My name is Joshua Velas. I'm your host as usual, and I always say welcome back to the show. Today's episode 220. It should be 222 if I'm correct, because let's just be real here. We haven't really done this in a while, if I'm just being honest with you guys, because you guys know we took a break from doing the show, and, well, we took a break given the fact that, well, you know, it's not like we kind of went through this, you know. So I think it's 222. You know, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I think it's 222 for sure. But I do want to say thank you guys for coming back and listening to today's episode. It does really mean a lot to me. You guys constantly take time in your days to download these episodes, to share these episodes, to constantly keep letting me know how you feel, whether you like my stupid face or not. At the end of the day, I greatly appreciate it. So obviously we're back to doing the video versions. I've recently just got some new pieces of equipment. So you guys, if you're watching the video version, you are going to get to see, and if you're listening to the audio version, you'll get to hear some of these new differences with the video kit. So what got added, just, you know, a little bit of brief house cleaning, if you will. I ended up getting an A10 Mini Pro. I've been wanting this device for over a year now, almost 2 years since I originally saw it, and I've been very, very happy. I've had a lot of extensive use with it because I've used it at the church a lot of times. So I thought it was about time to buy one, and thanks to the internship, it made buying it a lot easier. And then in terms of the microphone, you're also listening to the DJI mic. So I bought this wireless mic system to use with the camera whenever I'm doing stuff for, you know, photography and videography, so doing video shoots for clients. And I also bought this Shure MVL lav mic to go with it, just so I can have something a little bit better sounding, so I don't have to rely on just the kit by itself. So you guys are getting to see and hear some of these new differences, well, if you're watching and even listening to the show. So again, thank you guys for coming back and listening, and I really appreciate it. However, before we talk about the ARM stuff, we'll talk about that near the end of the episode, just a spoiler alert. But what are we talking about today? So if you voted on the poll on social media, and it was astounding on just how, you know, one-sided it was, if I'm being very honest with you. It was very one-sided that people wanted me to talk about the recent situation happening in the EU with the law being passed that is going to be affecting Apple coming in 2024, which, if you guys aren't aware of what happened, here is a brief summary of it all. The EU passed a law that stated that by the year 2024, or at least one of the quarters, I think it was quarter 2 of 2024, every device should have a unified standard. So in this case, it would be USB-C. So implying that every device by that point in time sold in the EU will need to have USB-C on it. This includes the iPhone. And this has been a very big debate. If I'm being honest with you guys, this has been a big debate. And I even have the article pulled up here next to my computer. This has been a debate that people have had for a while now of like, why doesn't the iPhone have USB-C? Why is the iPhone still using this outdated standard of Lightning? Like at the time, Lightning was better than the the original 8-pin and stuff like that. Or I think it was 8-pin, I forgot. I don't even care because, you know, it was during the iPod touches, you know, some of the older iPhones. Like Lightning was there because it was a USB 2 standard, so it was faster than everything else. It was a unique standard, it was better. But given how technology has, you know, rapidly improved, we have better standards. USB-C is more common now. USB-C is also faster because of Thunderbolt and things like that. It makes very illogical sense, if you wanted to use that term, that Apple would still keep selling the Lightning connector on their iPod. The iPod's dead at this point, homie. But the iPhones, AirPods, AirPod Maxes, and yeah, because if you think about it, the MacBooks have USB-C or Thunderbolt. The iPads now have USB-C or Thunderbolt. It's one of those things where I get why Apple doesn't want to do it, because, you know, obviously it keeps a monopoly. They're the only one, like, not the only ones that sell that cable, but it's at least a unique standard that makes you like keep going back to them. So if, you know, if you can buy it from somebody else, you can, or, you know, just buy it straight from the Apple store, because it's more like an impulse buy. So it's like, oh, my cable broke, let me just go to Best Buy or something and just buy, you know, a new cable straight from Apple, instead of like trusting third parties. And, you know, other issues that have happened throughout the years of third-party cables, Apple is just completely bricking them, so they would cause third-party cables to brick your phone and stuff like that, or they just wouldn't recognize third-party chargers, and it was just a whole big mess, if we're being honest here. Like, Apple's one of those companies that, if I'm just being transparent and honest, they are some stubborn SOBs. Let's just keep it real here, homies. Like, we know this company is stubborn. We know this company really does not like to, you know, admit they're wrong. They really don't. They had to take a fat L with the 14-inch MacBook Pro and 16-inch MacBook Pro, because they realized that, hey, maybe making these professional tools that are going to be used by creatives on the go and are going to be doing a lot of crazy stuff, probably making them super thin and light was a terrible idea. Let's make them a little bit bulkier. Let's give them back some ports that are actually useful and get rid of that stupid touch bar. You know, it's one of those things where Apple, on occasions, will admit they're wrong. But when they really don't want to admit they're wrong, they are going to stand firm to it. And I've said this multiple times. Like, we talked about the idea of an iPhone with USB-C, or people talking about, like, there was rumors that the iPhone 12 and 13 were going to have USB-C. Didn't happen. There's current rumors going around saying that the iPhone next year, so the iPhone 15, will have USB-C. And it's just like, I don't know what to tell you guys. It's one of those things where I have said multiple times, Apple would rather go wireless than ever put USB-C on iPhone. Now, if the rumors are true that the iPhone 15 will have USB-C, or maybe this next iPhone, the 14 coming out this year, will have USB-C, I don't know. Then I'll get proven wrong. But Apple is just one of those companies where they always want to find a way to not have a monopoly, but they want to have control over the whole ecosystem. They want to have control of what you buy. They want to make sure, obviously, they make the phones. They obviously want to sell you the accessories to go with the phones. Like, you know, just being transparent, now that doing this internship with Dell, that's kind of the whole point. You kind of want people to buy your stuff. So buy the laptops, buy the PCs, you know, and buy some accessories to go with it, like monitors, mouses, keyboards, webcams, docks, like whatever the hell, like support and stuff like that. Apple's gonna do the exact same thing, because of course they would. It's only the logical business move here. If you buy a new iPhone, of course they want you to buy a case from them. Of course they want you to buy chargers from them. Of course they want you to buy AirTags. They want you to buy AirPods. They want you to buy iPads. They want you to buy MacBooks. They want you to buy Macs. They want, like, you get what I'm saying, is they obviously want you to invest in their ecosystem and their system. The only problem is their ecosystem is weird right now due to the fact that they're using different cable standards. When some of your lineup is using USB-C/Thunderbolt and the other half is using Lightning, it kind of causes issues here and there, because transfer speeds are going to be super slow, especially with devices with Lightning. And it's even weirder if you think about it now, because the iPhones are using ProRes now, or at least their own version of RAW profiles, RAW photos, RAW, you know, cinematic videos and stuff like that. And it's just weird, because it's like, you think that they would have a better standard of, you know, transferring that data, because that's a lot of gigabytes of data that you're moving right there. You get what I'm saying? Also, I will say this now, if you can hear my dogs, I greatly apologize about that. They're kind of a little bit wild. They've been wild the past couple days. You know, when you kind of been at home and not being able to do so much, like, you kind of get used to it, you know? But it's one of those things where Apple's just weird. They're very conflicted with their messaging with a lot of stuff, and it's just, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's even making me have to, like, think about all this stuff, and having me, like, really try to make sense of all of this. And it's like, it just comes down to them being stubborn bulls. At the end of the day, that's what's happening here. They're just a bunch of stubborn bulls. They're a bunch of stubborn bulls that honestly don't want to change. Let's just be honest here. They really don't. And going back to this whole thing with the EU, because I know we kind of went on a little bit of a rant about the other stuff with Apple and just being conflicted in their identity, especially when it comes to cable and standards across their ecosystem, which is not even unified. Like, obviously, yes, you have AirDrop and stuff like that, but still, the fact that not even the ecosystem itself is unified with a single cable is kind of concerning at the same time. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, you keep pushing Lightning on other devices like your iPhones, your AirPod Maxes, but your iPads are getting USB-C, you know, not even just like the Pro models, like the Air has it, the Mini has it, the baseline iPad is probably end up gonna get it too, eventually, which, you know, like, heck, you still sell the old gen Apple Pencil, because by the time that's gonna be, actually, if you think about it, that's gonna lead to a whole nother issues, which we'll probably deal with that in a little bit. It's really weird. Personally, this leads to a whole lot of other issues. Do we trust the EU to properly maintain, you know, and regulate this properly, like, you know, updating current standards, or are we just going to be stuck with USB-C? So if somebody makes something better than USB-C and faster, you know, is everybody not allowed to use it and move to it? Is everyone just going to be stuck to USB? You get what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things that can go wrong here. And to say that things can't go wrong, you would be extremely naive and delusional. I'm not being mean here, I'm just being honest and transparent here. If you think things can't go bad, you are clearly on something. This could go very, very badly. Do I think it will? Probably not. I'm a willing and a honest betting man that I'm willing to bet that if a new standard comes out, you know, they'll update the legislation to keep, you know, everyone updating to newer standards, you know, better transfer speeds and stuff like that. That is idealistic Josh, hopeful Josh saying this. Realistic Josh is probably like, these homies are probably going to pull some shady stuff and just make people stick to USB-C for a long period of time until they decide to get around to updating the law. Now, Apple, if they get around to it, like, who knows? They might even beat them to the punch, and by the time 2024 rolls around, they already have iPhones and their entire lineup is on USB-C, just to stick it to them and be like, you know, we already beat you to the punch, and now we're making how many hundreds of millions off you suckers. So it's going to lead to a whole other issue, because think about it. If they switch to USB-C with the iPhone and like all the other devices get switched to USB-C, then all of those old Lightning cables just go straight down the toilet, and it causes a lot of e-waste, and it's just like, there's a lot of environmental issues that can go into this. There's a lot of e-waste that can go into, like, there's so many things that could go wrong here. I'm being honest here. There's so many things that could go wrong and just, you know, we're screwed. Now, am I hopeful that eventually all of this giant mess will get regulated and we'll be, you know, complaining for nothing? Hopefully. I think we're going to have a lot of birthing pains with this entire process. Like, I think it's great. I think that somebody considering the idea of having a unifying standard and making something that everyone has, the new standard for every device we use, it makes a lot of logical sense. My problem is, like, should the government be the ones to regulate this? It's a tough thing. Like, do I trust the government to do everything in our best interest? Not necessarily, homie. I'm just being real here. I don't trust the government to always make 100% the best calls, especially when a lot of the people in office right now, this isn't a political statement, just saying this right now, a lot of people in the office, well, not our office, but all offices around the world, are not that well educated about how technology works. I'm just being honest here. They're really not. The homies are kind of pushing like over 70 and 80, and those homies really don't even know how to use their own proper phones or how to open a document on a computer. So, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's a bit concerning, a bit worrisome, but we just have to wait and see. I know that's kind of cliche that, oh, we just have to wait and see how this all turns out. I'm like, well, yeah, because obviously we don't know how it's going to turn out. Like, it's not 2024. I'm interested to see if Apple responds to it publicly. I'm interested to see if they try to just get ahead of the curve and just say, hey, we brought USB-C. We did something cool. We got better transfer speeds now and stuff like that. Like, maybe they improve on the USB-C standard in some way, or make it, they'll obviously find a way to make it unique to them. We know they will, because that's just how this company loves to operate, don't they? They always love trying to make something that they do unique and special that nobody else totally hasn't done it, totally. But that's where we're at right now, guys, with all this stuff. It's just, I think it's interesting. Do I think it's good or bad? Not really. I think it will be interesting to say the least. That's just how I personally view it. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you worried that the EU is going to be in charge of regulating these standards? Are you worried, or are you happy that, you know, Apple will finally be taken down and the evil Apple will finally be able to, you know, take an L and finally admit that USB-C is a better standard than Lightning and just finally give us an iPhone with USB-C that everyone's been craving for such a long time? But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And I really appreciate you guys for coming back and listening to this episode, because I know we took a week off because the whole thing with the surgery, and, you know, just a little update on that. Like, I'm doing good. Like, the pain is starting to kick in a little bit more. Like, obviously I'm stuck, you know, if you're watching the video version, I'm in this little armband or, you know, bandage. I'm really in a splint. I'm not in a cast. So it's, you know, it's here or there. It's not terrible, but I'm also good. Like, the surgery went well. The operation was, you know, very smooth, straightforward, 45-minute operation. I was in and out. Like, say I went under at 10:45, I left the hospital like around 1:40, somewhere around that time. So I was able to leave on my own 2 feet. I, you know, perfectly fine. Like, after like 2 something, I was like pretty much back to normal after being, you know, KO'd. But at the end of the day, I'm really grateful. I appreciate all the thoughts and prayers. Again, I really do appreciate it, guys. And I hope you guys like today's topic, because, you know, I've been wanting to talk about this for a while now, because it's been news for a little bit, but I just felt it was time to finally have a conversation about it and, you know, just talk about it. And, you know, let's start a conversation, because let's be real, the conversation doesn't just end with this one video. This is obviously a conversation that will take place over the next coming years, and we just have to wait and see how it turns out, to be honest with you guys. But at least we can get the ball rolling with this conversation here at the podcast. I do also have some surprises coming on the way for the show, so please stay tuned for those little things. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful week and weekend. And as always, guys, don't do anything dumb. Continue to take care of those around you, guys, because the world is still a weird place. And the best way we can handle with the world being weird is just, you know, continue to be kind, respectful, and just, you know, loving towards everybody. Even if we don't agree with them or we do agree with them, just continue to be kind and try to put a smile on everyone's face. But as always, guys, I love you guys to death, and I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Hey there. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day and listening to today's episode. If you're interested in supporting the show, whether it be financially, clicking the follow button, or just sharing the episode, it all works for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I love you guys to death.